Hello friends, welcome now. Here Durgesh with you. Now we are going to see the final practical flow. It is totally okay if you are not watching the videos before it. I mean the final flow videos. I'm not talking about the Docker series. That first 5 to 6 videos, part 5, 6, 7, 8 are very important. But after that videos, that documentation and that parts are, yeah, they are just workout videos. They are actually not a full flow. But here I am going to explain you the how actually we can use the Docker using when we are developing our project. Keep in mind one thing that when we are using our project, we are when we are developing our project, when we are testing the normal APIs, we are directly um, dockerize that project and use that project in our uh, means the dockerize, and then we can run that project into the container. We are not actually actual developers are not doing like Python app.py. No, that is the old method. Now we are full backend developer, so we are just seeing how it is work. So phase one, idea and architecture. In phase one, what we are doing is, before writing code, we must decide what is our app, what is our endpoints, what is our which database we are going to use. Is there caching is needed? Is scaling needed? Like suppose if I am taking example of my project R. So actually I want to make a one project for patients, so that when they are uploading their lab reports, whole reports are in one place, and they can also analyze that through the AI. Also, they can share that whole report through a doctor. All these things are just I know. So these whole things we have to decide before any make any project. I am not talking about the MUP, minimum viable product, but yes, these things are very these things are also very important. So example, we are taking here task manager API, like to do app or task manager something. So post, get, put, delete, these things are very important. After how our architecture is there. First of all, our user client is there. When he hits our website or doing anything, first of all the request go to the nginx. Nginx is we know very well about the nginx. It is one type of handler, port handler. It is run on the 80 port or 443 port. But okay, let me ask Google nginx port number. Yeah, by default it is run on the 80 or 443. Yeah, but in actual we are running the postgre on 443 or something, 843 or something different, or 5000 port, 5000 port. It is knowing us only for developer. The other person who is just trying to malpractice or brute force attack on our website, they doesn't know ki which port they are we are using for running the flask or running the container, running the database and all these things. So nginx is a very good there. After that, it then goes to our flask. Before the flask, there is a unicorn is there, and after then flask, then postgresql or redis. Okay, when after that our phase 2 must be git first. Before writing a single line of code, we first want to do the git first. Git, like git init, initialize the git, so we can track the history from zero. And we all know okay how we can use the git. After in the phase 3, we are build the minimum flask app. Just make it run. Like I'm just making the overview that in the add top something, import flask from flask, and add after that one app name, and add last localhost, that things, and just one API means just running key at the rate app.route slash test, and return this API runs or this project runs successfully. Only 10 lines of code I am writing there. I am just checking yes, my is my code is running? Yeah, if it is running, then I am directly commit that code, means git add dot git commit hyphen m initial working API, and then I am directly so directly containerize that project immediately. Now you introduce Docker. Yeah, I am introduce create. First of all, I am creating the Docker file. We all know the Docker file is very important. There we are writing whole things like, first of all we are taking the Flask or Python version. After that we are taking the work directory slash app. How our internal Docker structure will be there. Then copy dot dot. Then copy requirements dot txt. Then hyphen cache that things. And at last we are taking some on expose the port. Yeah, these things are we are taking into the Docker file. We already see that in the previous videos. Okay, and after that the first thing I am doing is I'm build the image. To build that image, our there is one command, docker build hyphen t task manager version 1 dot, and when I am creating the when after creating the image successfully, I will run that code, docker run hyphen p 5000 task manager version 1. This 5000 is my um, localhost port number, and this 5000 is inside the container port number. These steps are always there, like we are seeing ki Durgesh, why we are not using the docker compose of here. First thing, first time we are when we are developing, that time we have to use these commands, and after these commands then we are going to manually, or we can say automatically doing all the things. But initially first time when we are doing dockerization, even the backend developers are also need to do these things. You can say that this is a mandatory things key. We are first create the image using management task manager version 1 dot, and then we can run. Okay, then into the phase 5 we can add the database with compose. Now introduce docker compose dot YAML file, and inside it we are writing web db radius, and use environment variables, use volumes we know where we are using volume for saving the data inside our database, and then we can run like a docker compose of hyphen build. Now you can developing inside production like setup, and why we are taking docker compose dot YAML file. So okay, multi-container Docker application. Yeah, for multi containers, multi handle the multiple things, we can use the Docker Compose. And after using the Docker Compose, then we can run Docker Compose of hyphen build, and then we can go next. But now the questions arises, how to make, what to write inside the docker compose. We in the next video we are going to make the end-to-end project in which we are going to see what to write there. And in the previous videos also I am talking about the same key, what we are writing there. So I don't think you will be confused on that. You want means okay. And which commands inside, then if I'm changing my app.py, then is there rebuild is needed. All these things we are see in the next. Okay, in the phase 6 development versus production separation, we are making the two different files as well, like docker compose.development.yaml and docker compose.production.yaml. These two files are for bind the mount, debug, auto reload, and no bind mode. What is the bind mode? Bind mode means we are giving the specific file path for the Docker when we are using the volume, and not even only Nginx expose. So for production it is different. So we are making these two files as well. And after in the part 7 we are versioning, means we are giving a git tag version 1, and we are actually build the image like username slash task manager version 1, this one. And now uh, after this one I am push this on the Docker Hub, and after it is when I'm pushed on Docker Hub, when I want to deploy on the server, then I'm going into the server. Like we are previously we are seeing we are going into the Ubuntu, and through the SSH command we are accessing the Ubuntu through Windows. Like the same thing, like Manasar is also doing this access the San Francisco's uh, Ubuntu machine into his Windows. Same thing we are doing, and there we can pull the that that project, and there we can do all the things. Yeah, there is also public private options are there, so we don't want to think much on them, but yes, these are the things. Then in the phase 9 we are thinking about the scaling. Like suppose a lot of people are coming visited our website continuously, lot of traffic is coming, that time what to do, we are then we can scale up these things. And in the phase 10 we are monitoring, like we are checking key how much people visit today, in the last week, in the last month, what status they are, how much time they are spending on our website. Then we can also check the Docker Compose logs, like when suppose 10 users click at a time, so uh, which request goes first, then how our CPUs are utilized, all these things like memory database connection. We just see the bottleneck, we are not going inside that key. Yes, my CPU is not running, so I can, no, no, I'm just seeing, I'm just monitor key what happened actually there. Yeah, this is our actual developers work key. We are going and checking all that things, but in the initial steps we are just see key what happened there. Okay, now your big confusion is gone. You were confused about, okay, now just tell me when to use it. Normally when we are uh, even we are using the Docker and containerize our project. We are running whole thing server inside the Docker, but still we are going to use the Git for production on all these things. Now clarity. Writing code Git, running locally Python, standardized environment Docker, multi-server setup Compose, multi-server, sorry, production separation override file. And then you can say ask me ki, Durgesh, we are making there two files like Docker Compose dot development dot YAML and Docker Compose dot production dot YAML. Then which two, which one is used, and what, and how our packet is knows key, I use this one, I use this one. So for that actually we are overriding the files when we are working normally on the projects, then we are using that development file .yaml only with docker compose .yaml file. And when we are using that production file, we are again forcefully override these things, two files, and our backend, our docker is major key. It takes the important things from them, like if there I am writing key port for production level, I am just using a 500 port, but in the when it is using to suppose 443 or suppose 80 port, so that time our docker understand ki it want to use 80, so it gives there directly 80 instead of using the 5000 port. So after overriding we can, it can understand everything. Okay, okay, now after this I am asking a big question for GPT key. Now please explain me and give all the essential commands and comments front of it, when to use which. Like when suppose I may first make folder, then git init, then write minimal API, test it using app.py, and then dockerize. But when dockerize, how to dockerize first image, then which commands I have to use. Then if I am edit API, then what to do? When changes HTML, then what to do? When adding something inside the .NET, then what to do? And when I am add any folder or file inside my main project, then what to do? Then when I'm using hyphen build, give me proper all the commands, like using these commands. There is no need to do anything like that. And also what to write inside docker compose.yaml dot development and also in the production, and give me all necessary things from phase 4. What is our phase 4 key? This one, containerize early. Hope you understand, and if anything you want to ask before giving all things, ask me. Give me all possible commands. See, ensure that this is my last command, and after this, everything I will understand. Actually, I want to, okay. Means my question for GPT is that key, when I am using after for part 4, when I am dockerized and when I am changing something like my main project, my database, or adding something, or we are going into Git in the branch in the Git, but not in the Dockerization. So it says me ki what, okay, then we'll say ki what it gives us the output. We are making the task manager inside it and Git in it, and also make this, and we are also test. Okay, after that what we want to do? Then we can first make the add requirement.txt. There we can add these two things. Okay, and after that we are commit git add requirement.txt, and then commit. Okay, and in the step 2 we are creating the docker file. We already see key these things are important there. Then also we are commit this into the GitHub. After that we are build the image. First time we are building the image, like docker build hyphen t task manager version 1. We are giving the version of the image like version 1 instead of it is taking the automatically latest. We are then running the container. If we want to stop the all containers, then we are just using the docker stop that specific container. If we want to stop all, then we can use the docker compose down, but we are not there till now. We are just make the image, and then we can just check it with the ps docker ps of whole running containers or images we are see. And when we are doing the docker ps hyphen a, all the hidden things are also we can see. Now very important section, where when we can reveal the things, like when we are changing the python code, we are rebuild the things when in the production mode. In the development we are not rebuild anything. When we are changing requirements, we are rebuild docker file, rebuild .env change, no rebuild, restart needed. When we are add new file, there is no need to need a rebuild. Okay, or when change html template, there is no need to rebuild in development, but we want to rebuild when we are using in the production. Okay, after that we are introduce our docker compose. Then we are creating a docker compose.yaml service we have build. Okay, these things we are creating, then we are commit into the then we are creating the .env, like PostgreSQL DB task DB user admin, and also creating .env.example. Step 6, development override. Okay, we are creating the docker compose dot development dot yaml also, and for running that compose file, we have run inside the development. We have like command is docker compose hyphen f docker compose. Okay, in the past step 7 we are doing the production override. Okay, and this works after the production only. If we are already deploy the project, and when we are changing something, that time we are using these things, or otherwise we are just using the development things. Now your most important section, what to do when you change something. Case 1, edit Python, just refresh browser, no need to do anything. Docker stop and start. After using .yaml files, we just docker compose up, and when we are editing in the Python file, we are rebuild in the production. When we are change the requirements, we are rebuild. Okay. Now your most section. What to do when you change something? Development mode. Change requirements, rebuild needed. Change env, just restart. Case 5, add new folder file. No rebuild. Case 6, change docker file. Always rebuild. Okay. These things. Okay. Useful commands you must remember. We must remember how to create the image manually, because as we say in first step we always make the image manually, like docker build -t task manager version 1 dot, and this dot is very important, we forget this every time. Then run the container manually, docker run -p 5000 task manager version 1. Then compose of docker compose of, then compose of in background docker compose of -d, compose rebuild docker compose of hyphen build. So stop everything, docker compose down. Just a minute, let us take one time again. Build image manually, then run container manually, right? Compose of in background, compose build, rebuild, stop everything, stop and remove volumes, checking running containers, check the logs, check resource usage, when to use git. We know very well when to use the git. Okay, and release now means when our project is ready and when we want to push the whole project on the docker hub, then we are using the release release flow. Like when then we are creating the image, like docker build -t username and that task manager version 1.0.10 something like this, and then push on there. And after that we are, when we want to go into the dat server, and there we pull whole project. Docker compose have -f docker compose.yaml -f docker compose.prod.yaml. Okay, in this way our whole things are go. And also I am asking the one question for GPT key. First tell me when to make which file, like docker compose.development YAML or production, or only compose.yaml is sufficient, they are required every time. Then if they are required every time, so when to use what, like running command, because according to me before deploy we have need to run. Okay, and not. Okay, so do you always need three compose files? So the GPT says me ki, no, there is no need to use the three files always, but yeah, this is the good practice we can say, and is used in the industry as well ki we are using the three files, and inside that files we are writing all things like development, and when we are need to run, we are just override, and docker automatically fetches which important things you want to take. Like suppose we are giving the two scores of math of any student, like any student have suppose two chance to give the exam. First, in the first time he scored 30 or 100 out of suppose 80 marks, and then in the second attempt when he express he got 100 out of 96 marks. So which we are taken 80 or 96? Of course we are taking the 96. Same thing happen in case of docker as well. Like when we are, there is a two options, two files in YAML development and production, and when we are override or production or just normal YAML, then Docker automatically detects which things he require and take that things. Okay. See Docker Compose YAML and production means we are using the normal YAML with production or normal YAML with deployment. In this way, our workflow goes. So when hope this is you all understand these things, and this is a very important video. As in the next video, I am trying to make a full end-to-end project in which we are learning whole things. So तब तक के लिए bye bye.